Hey, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to crochet a Caribbean sea sweater. This sweater is part of our Caribbean vacation collection. We'll be working on the medium size in this tutorial. The pattern is worked flat in 2 pieces. We're going to add a little bit of shoulder shaping. So we'll be doing short rows for that, and we'll have a little bit of a dropped neckline as well, with a nice ribbed collar, ribbed cuff, and also a ribbed band across the bottom. The yarn I'm using for this pattern as well as for the collection is Comfy Fingering Weight yarn. It is a blend of 75% Pima cotton and 25% acrylic. It is a number 1 weight. Machine wash, cold, and tumble dry low are the washing instructions, and I'll be working with the color white for this tutorial. I'm using the dots hooks from WeCrochet for this pattern, and I'm going to be working with the 3mm as well as the 4mm for this tutorial. But the set includes all these sizes, so you have a 2mm to a 6mm size. So we're going to begin with a slip knot on our hook, and we'll start with a chain of 16. Single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and in each chain across. So we'll have a total of 15 stitches. Then we're going to work single crochets through the back loop only. And we'll be working single crochets to the back loop only for the entire band. So you'll need to work a back piece and a front piece, and they both will begin the same. So we'll be making the band, and follow along with your pattern for the size you're working on for how many rows you're going to need. So we're just going to keep repeating row 2, and for the medium size, we'll be working 109 rows. Now, I initially worked with the 3.5mm hook, but I did find the band comes out a little bit maybe looser than I would have liked. So using the 3mm hook, it will pull the band in a little bit tighter. If you would rather it not pull in as much, then you could always use the 3.5mm. You will have all the sizes in your set, so choose what you prefer. The 3.5, it will come out closer to the lace stitch width, whereas working with the 3 is going to pull that band in a little bit tighter to fit your waist a little bit more. You can also play around with the width of your band. So I've done 15 stitches, but you could do less, so 10 like the long cardigan, or you could even do it wider. So maybe 20 stitches like I have the cropped cardigan version. So really you can play around with the width that you prefer for the bottom of the sweater, but I have gone with 15 for this particular pattern. Once you have your 109 rows, your band should look like this. I like it to be nice and tight so that it will pull in slightly above the lace stitch pattern. And if you're struggling with that, you can always go to even a smaller size hook to get a tighter band. But if you'd rather it not cinch in at all, then it's okay for it to stretch out a little bit as well. So the next step will be to change over to the 4mm hook, and I'm going to single crochet into each row. So what I find when I'm looking at the rows, one row has a thicker end to it. So this will be my 4th stitch. And then my next row has more just a little loop right here. So that will be row 5. And I'm going to continue counting as I go. So that I have 109 stitches across. Okay, so I've completed working across. Now I'm going to pop up my swatch video showing you how to crochet the lace stitch pattern. Okay, so I've worked across, and next we're going to start into our pattern. And our first row of our lace pattern is going to be these double crochets separated by a chain 1. So we're going to do this across this row to give this look. So this is going to be the start of our lace pattern repeat. So I'm going to start out with a chain 3. I'm going to turn, and the chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. So that is part of that very first stitch. We're skipping the next stitch and we're going to double crochet in the next. Chain 1, skip the next stitch and a double crochet in the next. Chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next. So we're going to do this all the way across. So this is a quick and easy row to complete. So now we're coming up to the end. I've already chained 1 and I'm doing a double crochet in that last stitch. Chain 1 and turn. Okay, so here we have that first row. And the next row, we're going to work single crochets in each stitch across. So single crochet in the double, and then a single crochet in the chain 1 space. Single crochet in the double and in the chain 1 space. Okay, so this row, really simple. We're just working single crochets across. Now when we get to the end, we had that starting chain 3. So the third chain of the chain 3 would count as our chain 1 space. So I've worked 1 single crochet for the chain 1 space, and then I need to do another single crochet for the double. So I just place them both in that space, and then I'm going to chain 3 again and turn. So this time, what we're going to be doing is we're working these V's with chains, single crochets, and then we're making basically these V stitch spaces for working our cluster shell type stitch we're going to have in here. So we're starting out now with a chain 3, and we're going to double crochet in that first stitch, so the very first stitch. Okay, so it looks like this. Then we're going to chain 2. We're going to skip 2 stitches and then single crochet in the next. Chain 2. We're going to skip 2 stitches, and in the next stitch, we're going to work a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet in the same stitch. So that's making a V with 2 chains. Chain 2, we skip 2 stitches, single crochet, chain 2, skip 2, and then our V, double crochet chain 2, double crochet. Okay, so that's the repeat pattern. We have this chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, then our V, and then we go back into it again. So you're working that across. I'm almost to the end, so I'll continue, chain 2 and a single crochet, chain 2, and then in the very last stitch we're going to do a double, chain 1, and a double. So in the last stitch we don't have the 2 chains, we just have the 1. So our starting chain 3 is our double and our chain 1, and that's how that row looks. So now our next row, we're going to get into these cluster stitches that we're going to be working in the V stitches that we made. So we're going to start out with a chain 2, and then we're going to do our 2 DC cluster. So we're going to yarn over, go through, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go back down, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3, and chain 1. And in the same space, we're going to yarn over, go through, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go through, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we have 4 loops on the hook. We'll yarn over, pulling through all the loops. Chain 1. And now in our next V, we're going to have 3 clusters in this space. So if we're calling it a 3 DC cluster, this one is a 2 because there's only 2. This one's going to have 3. So yarn over, go through, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go through the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go through, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so when we're making our cluster, we have 4 loops on our hook, we yarn over, pulling through, and chain 1. So the first one we did with our chain 2, it already counted as a double crochet, so we only pulled through 3 loops on that very first one, but each subsequent now cluster we're making, it's going to have pull through 4 loops on the hook. So we need to do this 2 more times in the same space. So go through, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and the third time, we now have 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, and chain 1. We need to do this 1 more time. So if you remember going through 3 times and pulling through 2 loops on the hook, it should get you where you need to be. Chain 1, and we're going to do the same thing in this space, and then we'll be adding 2 in the final one. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one. We'll meet you up on the last. Okay, so once you get to the last V, we're going to get our first cluster, chain 1, and 1 more. And then the next row, we want to have that double crochet chain 1, double crochet chain 1 row. So it's looking like this. Okay. So we've done our cluster row, and now we're getting here, and then we're going to finish So we're basically going to be starting it, the whole pattern again. The only difference now is that this time we're going to be working these in our cluster stitches, whereas our foundation, we were working into these stitches down here. So it does look a little bit different, but it's the same idea. It's just now we're working into these cluster stitches. So let's go through that with you. So we're going to start out with that chain 3, which counts as our double, and our chain 1. And then in the top of the next, so this counts in sort of our first cluster. Then we want to do a double crochet in the next cluster, chain 1. We're going to then do a double crochet in all of those clusters separated by a chain 1. So cluster, double crochet in that cluster, chain 1, double crochet in that center cluster, chain 1, and then double crochet in the last cluster, chain 1. Okay, so I'm doing that all the way across, and you can see the top of the stitch there. The top of the cluster, you see the stitch. Chain 1, and we're coming up to the end. Of course, you're going to have a longer stretch to do. Chain 1 and turn. Okay, and then we're doing a row of single crochet again. So let's just look at this one so you can see how you'll continue working this. So we've come to now the next row here of our double chain 1, skip a stitch, and then we need to do another row of our single crochet. So that's just working a single crochet in each stitch and chain 1 space across. So I worked across in single crochet. So if we look at this now in what we're going to repeat, we've worked here our cluster row with our double chain 1 skip and our single crochet. So we're now going to be repeating from our V-stitch row up to this row one more time. So this next row we're going to be repeating, if we look at it from this being our first row, 1, 2, 3. So repeating the third row, the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth again. Okay, so I've worked through the first lace section of the sweater. Now the solid section is just going to be one row of double crochet. So I've worked my row of single crochet across, and I've also marked the right side of my work, and then this way I'm just going to stay on track throughout the pattern. So our single crochet rows are on the right side. Now I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and I'm going to work across a row of double crochet. Now you can always make your sweater longer if you prefer, but what I've done for this length is I've worked my lace section. Then I have that row of double crochet. This is actually, we're looking at the wrong side. So this is the right side. So here's our row of double crochet, and then I go through the lace stitch pattern again. Okay, so we have our 2 cluster rows, we end, so we start with that double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and we end with that as well. And then I've done another row of double crochet, lace section again. I've worked my double crochet row, and then on the single crochet row, we will be adding our sleeves. So once you get through all these sections, we'll meet back up again so I can show you. I've started this one. I haven't finished it yet, but I've started to work on the sleeves. But I'll meet you back up on this panel to show you how to add your sleeve lengths to each side of the body. So we continue working it all in one piece. We don't have to sew on the sleeves. We don't have those shoulder seams. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue working my sections, and then once I get to the sleeve part, I'll meet you up again. Okay, so I've been working on my panel, and you can see I have my lace, my double crochet, solid row here, lace, solid lace, finishing with the double crochet row. Now, if you want to make this longer, you can go ahead, add another lace section if you want, then do your single double crochet row. So that's up to you if you want to change the length. Now what we're going to do is add a chain length to each side for the sleeves, because this section is all worked in one piece so that we don't have a sleeve seam to attach. Now, what I like to do is just grab another ball of yarn. I have my right side facing, I have my right side marked. The double crochet row, we ended on the wrong side. So we're going to come up here to our left side. We're going to join on, and the sleeve is going to be worked in multiples of 6. So you can change your sleeve length. You could make it short sleeve if you wanted. You can change this up just by modifying the multiple. So I'm going to chain out 78, which is a multiple of 6. And I'm also adding a cuff. So this will be about a full length sleeve once the cuff is added. If you didn't want to add a cuff, it's going to sit more roughly in around your wrist bone area. Maybe a little bit shorter, depending on how the sweater fits you. So what I'm going to do is go into the corner, and then I am just going to chain out my 78 chains. Now, once you have your 78 chains, we're just going to fasten this off. Okay, pull the yarn through. So this is just ready to continue working our single crochet right across. And I'm gonna come back over to the working yarn. And we need to chain out 1 extra for our turning chain on this side. So I'm going to chain out 79. Okay, so I've chained out 79. I'm now going to work single crochets across the chain. So in the second chain from the hook, and we'll work single crochets across. So we'll have 78 single crochets across our chain. Okay, and then as you work across the body, you're going to have 109 stitches for this size. So you work your sleeve, you work across your body section, however many stitches that is for the size you're working on. We'll come over to this chain and continue to work single crochets across that chain. Okay, so once you get all the way across, we're going to get back into our pattern. The lace stitch pattern section. So I'm going to chain 3, turn, okay, so I'm skipping this stitch, the next stitch, and then I'm going to double crochet in the next. So the chain 3 counts as our double chain 1, skip a stitch and a double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so we're going to work that all the way across. So we're back into this pattern. Now let's just take a look at the other side of the sweater that I've been working on. So you can see once you get into the lace stitch pattern how it's going to look. Now, depending on the size you're working on, you'll be working a different amount of, let's put it this way, the lace stitch pattern. So I don't have quite all the lace that I'm going to work yet for this size, but as you can see, I like to go by the sections with our clusters. So 1 section of lace, 2 sections of the repeat, 3, and I want to get up to a total of 4 for this size. So what you need to think about is almost half of your sleeve width is what we're working on here. And then we're going to have to mark our neck opening, and then we're going to do some shoulder shaping on this piece. So once you get your 4th repeat done, we're going to meet up again and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so I've worked my lace section for my sleeve. So I like to count my repeats based on my clusters. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I finished with my single crochet row. So you can see. Now what we need to do is mark our neck opening. So for the medium size, I've counted over from my sleeve edge 109 stitches, and I've added my marker. I've done the same thing on this side. I counted over 109 stitches, placed the marker in the 109th stitch, and then I have a total of 47 stitches for my neck opening, which is between my markers, and that will be approximately 8.5 inches. Now, what I'm going to do next is my double crochet row. So I've ended on my right side, have my marker here to mark that. We're going to come back now and work double crochets across and into the marked stitch. So I'm going to go across 109. So chain 1 and turn. So I'm now to the wrong side. I'm just going with my working yarn. Okay, so I'm coming up to my marker. We're going to place our last double crochet into the marked stitch. Chain 1 and turn. So now we're back to the right side. So we're working on our back left. And we're going to do some shoulder shaping at this point, just to give the sweater a little bit more shape and fit a little bit nicer. So I'm going to work across 28 stitches in single crochet. Okay, so I've worked across 28. Now I'm going to turn. So I'm going to turn, I'm not going to chain one, I'm just going to slip stitch into the first. There's 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to single crochet across. So 24 stitches. Okay, so I've worked across 24. I'm going to chain one and turn. And I'm going to work across only 20 stitches this time. So I've chained one, single crochet across 20. Okay, I've worked across 20. I'm going to turn. And we're going to slip stitch across 4. So I'm not chaining one, I'm just going to slip stitch across 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll work single crochets now across 16. Chain one and turn. And now we're going to work across 12. Now we'll turn. We're going to slip stitch across 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, single crochet in the next, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Chain one and turn. And now we're going to just work all the way across. So we have this nice little shoulder shaping. It's going to give us a nice little slope past the neck. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then going down into the slip stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to drop down to the next row. 1, 2, 3, 4, drop down to the next row. And if you're struggling to get into the slip stitches, you can always use your smaller hook just to get your hook through. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to use a smaller hook on these slip stitches too, just it makes it easier. And then we're just going to complete working across the row in single crochet. So it should give it a nice smooth little triangle wedge. Okay, so then once you get all the way across, you can fasten off. So this is our right side. We're going to turn to the wrong side and we're going to do the same thing over on our back right. So we did our back left, we're going to do the back right at this point. And what we need to do is that double crochet row. So the double crochet row is on our wrong side and we're joining this time into the marked stitch. So let me get a slip knot. Pull that through. I'm going to chain 1, remove my marker, that out of the way. And double crochet across. As I'm going to work across my double crochet row, I'm going to leave the working yarn to come back with that final single crochet row. We're going to work it across after we do our shoulder piece. So I'm going to work across double crochets and then I'll meet you back up again. Okay, so I've worked across in double crochet. I'm just going to leave my working yarn here and I'm going to come back now to my right side. And we need to count over 28 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm going to mark that. And I'm just going to grab another ball of yarn to do this section. So you can join in your yarn. I'm going to chain 1. Okay, so we are on the right side now. And we're going to work across 28 single crochet. Okay, we'll chain 1 and turn. And this row, I'm going to work across 24 stitches. Okay, so I've worked across 24, leaving the 4 stitches unworked. We're going to turn and slip stitch across 4. And try to maybe not do these slip stitches too tight. I went a little too tight on the other side. Okay, and then single crochet in the next 20. Chain 1 and turn. And now this row will work across 16. Okay, so I've worked across 16. I'm going to turn and slip stitch across 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, single crochet across 12. Chain 1 and turn. So we're back to the wrong side, and I'm going to single crochet across 8. Okay, and then I'm going to just fasten this off. And now what we'll do is come back to our working yarn to do that final single crochet row that will be on the right side of our work. And again, we've got our marker on here to make sure we stay on track with that. So I'm going to work across single crochets, and when I get to our shoulder wedge, I'll meet you back up again. Okay, so I've worked across 81. We're now going to work across our first 4 stitches. So the first ledge. One, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to go up to the next ledge, do another 4. Go up to the next ledge for another 4. Next ledge for another 4. So every other row, one of them will have the slip stitches, which is always a little bit trickier to work through. Four on the next ledge, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going up to finish off on those top 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there you go. We can fasten that off now. So this is the right side. So this is our back right, our back left. Now, if you don't want a deep neckline, you could work the front the exact same way. So you'll just have, so you can figure you're going to have double this. So this would be your neck opening. Or what we can do is we can dip the front down a little bit. I would bring it down. Really, you can go as far as you want. I'm thinking I'm going to bring it down to this row here. So we can dip it down and end it on this single crochet. So doing 3 repeats at our sleeve, 1, 2, 3, ending on this single crochet row. Okay, so once you have your 3 sections of lace pattern, I finished on my single crochet row. So if we take a look, I have 1, 2, 3 of our clusters, and I finished with that single crochet row. So now I've marked my neck opening just like we did on the back, but this time it's going to be a little bit deeper. So if we take a look at the back again, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. This is the right side. So we had 4 sections, and then we did our double crochet row and our shoulder. So now what we're going to do this time is continue now working the next lace section, because we want to have 4 in total. And then we're going to repeat exactly what we did on the back. We just need to work our lace section so that we have a deeper neck, and then we'll do the double crochet row and our shoulder shaping. So I have my right side facing. And this would be the front right, the back, it would be the left, but if you turn it to put it on, this would be our right side. And my yarn is still attached. So what we're going to do is work across in our pattern. So 1, 2, 3. And now we're turning to the wrong side of our work. And we're working our V-stitch in that first stitch, chain 2, skip 2, single crochet. So this is that V-stitch row. 1, 2, skip 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the same stitch. So I'm going to work this all the way across to our marker. That was at our 109th stitch for this size, but follow along with your pattern for where your stitch marker has been marked, and then just work right across to the marker. Okay, so I'm coming up to my marker, so I'm going to chain 2, and in the marked stitch, it's my 109th stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Okay, and now I am to a cluster row, so chain 2, turn, and we're going to do our clusters. So I'm going to go ahead and work this section of the pattern. I'm going to go all the way up to the ending with the single crochet or the double crochet row, and I'll meet you back up for the shoulder shaping just so that you are on track with that. But I'm going to leave this to work on it, and I'm going to show you how we're going to join back over here. So what we want to do is turn to the wrong side. So when we're working this side, we're going to be joining in to the marked stitch. And we're starting with that V. So I'm going to chain 3 and double crochet in the same stitch. And now I can remove the marker. So chain 2, skip 2, chain 2, skip 2, and then a V stitch, double, chain 2, double. And then we're just working back and forth in our pattern. We're just going to be making a deeper neckline for the front. So I'm going to go ahead and work both sides up, and I will meet you back up for the shoulder shaping. Okay, so I completed my next section of lace and my double crochet row. And this is going to be, so this is on the right side of the left. So this is actually, when wearing it, it's our front right. So we're working on that shoulder piece. And you can go ahead and rewind the video to watch me work all of this. The only difference is instead of the back left side, this is the front right side, but it's going to be crocheted the same way. So I'm working across single crochets, and I need to do 28. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I've worked across 28, and I'm going to slip stitch across 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try not to do the slip stitches too tight. And then I'm going to go ahead and single crochet across the next 24. Chain 1 and turn, work across 20. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this. If you need to rewind the video and watch the back section, you could do that. But I'm going to go ahead and complete this because this will work up rather quickly. Okay, so I'm down to 8 stitches. I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and then this will be the final row where we're going to work all the way across to smooth all of these short rows out. So go across 8. Then we need to go across 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, and then right down across. Okay, so then once you've worked all the way across in your single crochet, you're going to fasten off. And now, staying on our right side, we need to come over to the front left, which is going to be worked the same as the back right. I have left my working yarn over here to finish off with that single crochet row that we're going to go all the way across. So I'm going to just take another bit of scrap yarn, and we need to join it into the 28th stitch. And I'm going to work across and complete this shoulder shaping. And again, if you need to go back and watch the back section of the video, you can do that. Okay, so I've worked up to 8 stitches, and now we'll fasten off and come back over to the working yarn, and then we'll continue with this single crochet row right across. Okay, so I've now worked all the way across this side. I'm going to fasten off, and I now have my front and back panels complete. So the next step is going to be to block them out. So you can see I don't have too deep of a neckline. It's just going to really round nicely around our neck. So to block the piece, what we're going to do is dampen it in some lukewarm water. I like to let it soak for around 25 to 30 minutes. Then we are going to get out as much excess water as we can. So squeeze it out, lay it in a towel, that sometimes helps. And then you're going to lay it out on your blocking mats. You're going to pin it to the measurements in the schematic. So make sure you've got the lace. It's going to pull it apart, and it's going to make it look nice and beautiful. It's going to have a nice pressed flat look to it after it's been blocked. Now, if you don't want to pull the waistband out, you can always leave the waistband cinched in a little bit more if you want it to snug around your waist. Now, if you'd rather it bigger, you can stretch it out. So that's up to you when you're blocking it, how you'd like it to look. So I'm gonna go ahead, block my piece, my front and my back, and then I'll meet you up again for seaming and finishing the finishing touches. So you want to make sure that you block your sweater out to measurements. And once it's completely dry, you can remove all those pins. You can see I've removed all of my blocking pins. And now I'm going to take it off the mat for seaming. Okay, so once you finish blocking your sweater, I've taken it off the blocking mats, and I've already seamed together one side. So what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch our sleeves together. So it's going to go all the way up the sleeve. We're going to do our shaping here. So I've already done that side. I'm going to come over and I'm going to do this side with you. Now make sure that your right side, so I've left my markers on both my pieces. You also will be able to tell by your stitches, because if you're trying to slip stitch it on the wrong side, you're not going to see the front and back loop of the stitch like you're going to on the right side. So that's what we're going to slip stitch. So I'm going to take my larger hook. I'm going to take some yarn. We're going to do a flat slip stitch. So I'm going to put a slip knot on my hook. And I'm going to go right into my stitches here. So I'm going to find the back loop. Sometimes on the first one, it can be a little tricky to get your hook in. I'm going to go through the back loop. Then I'm going to come over to the other side and go through the back loop as well. Now let's make sure we keep the yarn. Now we're going to yarn over with the yarn we're pulling through, And then we're pulling through the loops on our hook. Gonna tighten up our tail. Once you get it started, it'll be easier. It's always getting it started that's the worst. So then we're going through the back loop, keeping this yarn right here up the center. We're going through the back loop on this side, grabbing the yarn, and then pulling it through. So back loop, yarn over, pull through. You want to make sure that you're not doing the slip stitches too tight. And then once you get your rhythm with it, it will go a little bit quicker. You see how the nice flat slip stitch edge is going to look. We're going to seam this all the way to our shoulder shaping. Okay, so you want to finish slip stitching all the way up your shoulder piece, and then we can fasten that off and you can weave in your tails. Okay, so let's work on our neck edging. So depending on the style you would like, you could just do a simple single crochet edging so you could work around a few rounds and keep it a fairly wide neck. I'm wanting to actually add some ribbing to it, but I'm going to start working around in a single crochet row, and I'm going to join on to the back. So our back is going to line up from our solid section here, our shoulder shaping, right in where we have this drop down for our front. So I went with a big loose open neck so that it could be worked either way. I could just keep it really open, sort of off the shoulder look, or add a ribbed collar around it to give a little bit more coverage and sort of match the ribbing that we have on the bottom and the sleeve cuff. This hook's a little rubby. I'm just gonna switch out my hook. So let's join in to our back corner. I'm going to make a chain one, then I'm going to single crochet. Next, I'm going to go through the second bar. I'm going through the next stitch. I'm going to pull through the first loop only, and then yarn over, pulling through two. So we're going through the second bar, then right down into the stitch, yarning over, pulling through one loop only, yarn over, pull through two. I just like the look that this edging gives. It's almost like, reminds me of a slip stitch and a single crochet in one. Okay, so I'm going to go across, going through each stitch. So now once you get to the side work, we just want to try to evenly space as best we can across. So the double crochet rows, I'm going to go and do 2 single crochet row would be 1 stitch. So just try to work this as evenly as you can. Okay, so I'm going to keep working this edge all the way around. So now once you get all the way around, I've slip stitched to join, and I'm changing over to a 3mm hook for the join as you go band, or the join as you go collar. So I'm going to chain out 11. Then I'll work a single crochet in the second chain from the hook and single crochets across the chain. So I'll have a total of 10 stitches. Okay, so now what we're going to do is slip stitch in the back loop only of the next 2 stitches. We're going to turn. We're going to skip the 2 slip stitches that we just made, and we're going to work single crochets through the back loop only. And you're working 10, and it is a good idea to count as you go so that you don't lose a stitch. So this ribbed collar will be joined as we go around the neck opening. So we're going to work the same number of rows as we have stitches around the collar. So once you get to the end of the row, you'll chain 1 and turn, and then we'll work single crochets through the back loop only back down the row for a total of 10. So I've worked 10 stitches. Now I will slip stitch in the back loop of the next 2. Then I'm going to turn, and I will just repeat what I've already shown you. So we skip our slip stitches, working single crochets through the back loop only. Chain 1 and turn. Okay, so I'm going to continue now this all the way around my neck opening. So that's going to take a little bit of time, and once I have this complete, we'll meet back up again. Okay, so once I got all the way around, I slip stitched the band together. So just put your right sides facing and just do a slip stitch through each stitch. Then you can weave in those tails, so that will blend it in nicely at the back. And then the next thing we're going to do is seam the sides, but you can see how going through the back loop gives us this nice little ridge that goes around the collar. So now I want to make sure I put my right sides facing. So I have my stitch marker still in place, so I'm sure as well about my right side and wrong side. And of course, our tails are going to be here to the wrong side. And I'm going to use a yarn needle to seam this together. And I'm going to start at the sleeve. Okay, and we're gonna work our way down the sides. You wanna make sure that you're matching up the stitch pattern as you go. So once we get into our lace, our double crochet rows, you just wanna make sure that you're sewing clusters together, your single crochet rows together. Make sure everything just lines up perfectly so you're going to have a really nice seamless look on your sides. So I like to take at least double the amount that I'm going to need to sew. So we can start off with a knot on the bottom, and then you're just going to go through we're just going to whip stitch this. Now you do want to make sure that you have, sometimes with the blocking, one sleeve could end up maybe slightly off. So just make sure, you can always, sometimes I'll add a stitch marker too to make sure it doesn't move. You can do that throughout to kind of keep it to lay even. So I'm just gonna go ahead, I'm going to sew my sleeve and my side, and I'm going to do it to the other side as well. This just takes a little bit of time to sit and work through this. So once you've finished seaming your sides, we're going to add the cuffs. So I've already added one cuff to this side. So let me show you how to do your cuff. So we're going to join in to our inside, so our seam that runs along the inside. I'm going to use the smaller hook. And this is going to be worked very similar to our neck edge. So what we'll be doing is we're going to crochet 1 per single crochet row, 2 per double crochet row as we go along. So this is going to be 1 single crochet row, and then there'll be 1 on the other side. We're going to come join in. I'm going to chain 1 and work a single crochet. So now I'm going to do that nice edging that I've already shown you. So we're going through the second bar, and then we're at a double crochet row. So we're going to do 2. So we're just going to go into the space. We're pulling up a loop, pulling through the first loop on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, going through the second bar, going back through the space again, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Put your hook through the second bar, and now we're going to have 1 stitch for the single crochet row. Pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Now this next row has a V-stitch, which is a double, so we'll do 2 stitches. The puff stitch, we'll do 2 as well. we have a double crochet row. We'll do 2 stitches. Then we have a single crochet row and we do 1. So we're just going to continue in this manner, going all the way around the sleeve. So I've worked all the way around for this size 70 stitches. I'm going to slip stitch to join. And you could just slip stitch through the back loop because the next round we will be working through the back loop. So chain 1 single crochet in the back loop of the first stitch, and then we're going to do a decrease across the next 2. So going through the back loop, go through, pull up a loop, go through the back loop of the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3. Single crochet through the back loop of the next stitch, and then doing a decrease across the next 2. And we're going to continue this all the way around. Okay, so once you get worked all the way around, we're going to slip stitch to join, and you should have 47 stitches. Now we're going to do the join as you go ribbing, which again is going to be worked just like we did the collar, but I'm going to chain out 16 because I want a 15 stitch cuff so that it matches the bottom of the sweater. Okay, so I've worked out 16 and I'm gonna go ahead and work this. I'm not gonna work through all the steps with you because we did cover that with the collar, so it's worked the exact same way. We're just slip stitching to the base of the cuff as we go and working. We will end up with 47 rows of the cuff to match the stitches around the edge. Okay, so I've worked all the way around and now I'm going to slip stitch the cuff together. So what I want to do is get it flipped here so that I have my right sides facing. Now you could fasten this off and just seam it, but I just find it easier just to go ahead and slip stitch it together. Okay, so I'm gonna line up my stitches and slip stitch this. And this will be the same method for slip stitching around your collar as well when you get it around. Okay, so then once you finish that, you're just going to fasten off and weave in all of your tails. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell to stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials. Make sure to check the description box below the video for all the links. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day.